Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of our English Learning Podcast. I'm your host Alex, and today we're going to have a really fun and engaging conversation on a topic that I know everyone can relate to: hobbies. We all have hobbies, don't we? Some people love painting, some love sports, some enjoy music, and others might prefer reading or gardening. Hobbies bring us joy, keep us relaxed, and sometimes even teach us new skills. And today, to explore this colorful world of hobbies, I'm joined by my co-host and dear friend, Mia.
Hi, Alex. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here again. I love that we're talking about hobbies today because hobbies really show who we are as people. They're like a window into our personality. When someone tells me what their hobby is, I feel like I immediately get to know them better.
Exactly. Hobbies are like little stories we carry with us. They reveal what excites us, what makes us curious, and even what helps us calm down after a long, stressful day. And I think this is going to be a great way for our listeners to learn English naturally. Because while we chat about hobbies, they'll pick up vocabulary, phrases, and expressions they can use in their own conversations.
Yes! And the best part is that hobbies are universal. Whether you're in India, the US, Japan, or anywhere in the world, you can connect with people over shared hobbies. Like, I love music. If I meet someone who also loves music, suddenly we have so much to talk about.
That's so true. Speaking of that, why don't we start with your hobbies, Mia? Tell us, what are some of your favorite hobbies?
Oh, where should I begin? Well, one of my biggest hobbies is playing the guitar. I've been playing since I was in high school, and it's something that really relaxes me. Whenever I feel stressed, I just pick up my guitar, start strumming, and suddenly the world feels a little lighter.
That's wonderful. Music has that kind of magic, doesn't it? It's like therapy without needing an appointment.
Exactly. And the thing is, when I first started playing, I was terrible. I couldn't even hold the chords properly. My fingers hurt, and I remember thinking, maybe this isn't for me. But slowly, with practice, I improved. And now playing guitar is like second nature.
That's a great lesson right there. Practice makes perfect. Or at least, practice makes you better and more confident. And I'm sure many of our listeners who are learning English can relate to that. Just like learning to play the guitar, learning English takes patience, repetition, and practice.
Yes! And speaking of practice, my hobby also taught me discipline. At first, I set small goals like, today I'll learn one new chord, or this week I'll play one easy song. Those little goals motivated me, and with time, I saw progress. I think that's something everyone can apply to both hobbies and language learning.
That's such a valuable point, Mia, and it shows how hobbies aren't just about fun. They can also shape our character and teach us life skills.
Absolutely! What about you, Alex? What's your favorite hobby?
Well, I have quite a few, but one that really stands out is reading. I absolutely love reading books. Fiction, non-fiction, biographies, history, you name it, I read it. For me, reading is like traveling without moving. Every time I open a book, I step into a new world.
I love that description. Traveling without moving. That's so true. Reading lets us experience lives and places that we may never physically visit.
Exactly. For example, I recently read a novel set in Japan, and though I've never been to Japan, the descriptions of the streets, the culture, and the food made me feel like I was walking there. It's an amazing experience.
So, reading is your way of exploring. Do you have a favorite genre?
That's a tough one. I enjoy a wide range, but if I had to choose, I'd say historical fiction. I love stories that combine real events with imagination. It's like learning history in the most entertaining way.
That's interesting. And reading is also a great hobby for language learners. When I was learning Spanish, I used to read children's books in Spanish. They were simple, but they helped me understand vocabulary and sentence structure.
Yes. And for our listeners, that's a tip right there. If you want to improve your English, start reading books that are slightly below your current level. Don't jump straight into Shakespeare. Pick something light and easy, maybe even a short story or a comic.
Exactly. It builds confidence and slowly you can move to more advanced books.
Mia, I feel like hobbies also connect people. Like imagine two strangers meet at an airport. They sit down, start talking, and one says, "I love photography." The other replies, "Oh, me too." And suddenly they're no longer strangers, they're friends.
Yes, photography is another beautiful hobby. Actually, I tried photography for a while. I wasn't great at it, but I loved the process. Capturing a moment, freezing it forever. There's something powerful about that.
It's like telling a story with just one picture.
Right? And nowadays, with smartphones, almost everyone can try photography. You don't need expensive equipment, just a good eye for detail.
That's true. And speaking of that, I think another interesting hobby that has grown a lot recently is cooking. During the pandemic, so many people started cooking at home. Some even discovered it as a passion.
Oh, yes, cooking. That's another one of my hobbies. I love experimenting in the kitchen. For me, cooking is like art. You take different ingredients, mix them in different ways, and create something unique.
That's such a creative way to put it. And the best part is, unlike a painting or a song, you can eat your art afterward.
Haha, exactly. And share it with family and friends. I think that's the beauty of cooking. It brings people together.
Totally. Food is universal. No matter where you are in the world, people love to eat. And when you cook for someone, it's almost like giving them a gift. It's not just about taste, it's about care and effort.
Yes. I remember once during university I cooked a simple pasta dish for my roommates. Nothing fancy, just spaghetti, tomato sauce, and some vegetables. But they were so happy. They said, "Mia, this is amazing." And that joy on their faces made me feel so good.
That's such a wholesome memory, and it shows how hobbies don't have to be expensive or complicated. Even a simple dish made with love becomes special.
Exactly, and you know what? Cooking also teaches patience. Sometimes you have to wait for the dough to rise, or the curry to simmer, or the cake to bake. It's not instant gratification. It's about slowing down and enjoying the process.
That's a very deep point, Mia. We live in such a fast-paced world where everything is about instant. Instant coffee, instant delivery, instant results. But hobbies like cooking remind us that good things take time.
Yes, and that patience reflects in other parts of life too. Like, I became more patient with people because I learned patience in the kitchen.
That's so true. You know, listening to you makes me think of another hobby I enjoy, gardening. It's kind of similar in that it requires patience, but the reward is so satisfying.
Oh, gardening. I've always admired people who can grow plants. I tried once. I planted a little basil in a pot, but I forgot to water it regularly, and, well, let's just say it didn't survive.
Ha ha! That happens to a lot of beginners. Trust me, I also killed a few plants in the beginning. But once you understand the rhythm of it, when to water, how much sunlight they need, it becomes almost meditative.
Tell me more. What do you usually grow?
Mostly herbs and vegetables, things like tomatoes, mint, basil, chilies. It feels amazing to cook with ingredients you grew yourself. Like, imagine picking fresh tomatoes from your own garden and making a salad. The taste is so much richer.
Wow, that sounds wonderful. And I guess it also connects you to nature, right? I see you for...
Exactly. For me, gardening is like therapy. You dig in the soil, feel the earth, watch something grow from a tiny seed to a plant. It's so grounding. And again, it teaches patience. You can't rush nature.
That's beautiful. And it's also a very eco-friendly hobby. Growing your own food reduces waste, and you know exactly what you're eating.
Yes, no chemicals, no pesticides. Just natural. Plus, it gives you a sense of achievement. Like, hey, I grew this little green pepper. And it tastes 10 times better than store-bought.
I can imagine. Maybe I should give gardening another try. Start with something simple like mint or basil.
Yes, start small. Herbs are usually easy to grow, and you can use them in cooking right away.
You know, Alex, I think what's amazing is how all these hobbies, music, cooking, gardening, are not just activities. They shape us. They improve our patience, creativity, confidence, even our health.
That's so true. Hobbies aren't just time pass. They are investments in ourselves.
Exactly. And sometimes hobbies even become careers, like people who loved drawing as kids later became graphic designers or artists.
Oh yes, I know someone who loved gaming. Everyone used to say, stop wasting time. But today, he's a professional game developer. His hobby turned into his profession.
That's inspiring. It shows that we should never underestimate hobbies. They might just lead us to our passion or career path.
Speaking of that, Mia, did you ever have a hobby that you wanted to turn into a career?
Interesting question. You know, for a while I dreamed about becoming a musician. I loved guitar so much that I thought, maybe I can perform on stage one day. I even played at some small events. But later, I realized I enjoy music more as a personal hobby than as a profession. For me, it's my safe space, not my job.
That makes sense. Sometimes when hobbies become jobs, they lose their magic. Because then there's pressure, deadlines, expectations.
Exactly. For me, music feels pure because it's just for me.
I get that. For me, reading could never be my career. I mean, yes, I can write about books or review them, but I want reading to stay my personal joy, not a duty.
That's a great distinction. Some hobbies are meant to be shared with the world, and some are just meant to keep us happy inside.
Yes, but either way, hobbies make life richer. Without them, life would feel mechanical. Just work, eat, sleep, repeat.
True. Hobbies add color to our daily routine.
You know, Mia, while we're talking about this, I think our listeners would really benefit if we explored different categories of hobbies, like physical hobbies, creative hobbies, intellectual hobbies, social hobbies. What do you think?
Oh, I love that idea. That way, people listening can discover hobbies they might not have thought about before.
All right, let's start with physical hobbies. These are hobbies that involve movement, exercise, or just being physically active. They're not only fun, but also great for health.
Yes! Physical hobbies are probably the most visible ones. Like when people say, "Oh, I play football," or "I go swimming," you immediately understand it's a mix of fun and fitness.
Exactly. For example, one of my friends is passionate about cycling. Every weekend he goes on long rides, sometimes 50, 60 kilometers. At first I thought, that's exhausting. But he told me it's like meditation on wheels. The rhythm of pedaling, the wind in his face, the changing scenery, it clears his mind.
That's so true. Cycling is not only good for physical fitness, but also mental health, and it's eco-friendly. Instead of using a car, you just hop on your bike.
Yes. And another popular physical hobby is dancing. People sometimes forget dancing is a form of exercise because it feels like fun, but it's a complete workout.
Oh, I love dancing. Not professionally, but just casually. Sometimes I put on music in my room and dance around. It lifts my mood instantly.
Same here, and it doesn't matter if you're a good dancer or not. The point is to enjoy yourself.
Right, and there are so many forms of dancing, like hip-hop, salsa, ballet, folk dances. Every culture has its own style, and that makes it a fascinating hobby.
Yes, cultural hobbies are so rich. For instance, in India, classical dances like Bharatanatyam or Kathak are not just physical activities, they're storytelling art forms. They combine music, expression, and movement.
That's beautiful. It shows how hobbies can also preserve culture and tradition.
Absolutely. Now, moving on from dancing, another physical hobby I've seen growing in popularity is yoga.
Yes! Yoga is incredible because it's both physical and mental. It stretches the body, strengthens muscles, and at the same time, calms the mind.
I tried yoga a couple of years ago. At first I thought, oh, this will be easy, just some stretching. But wow, it's not easy at all. Holding those poses requires strength and focus.
Ha ha ha! Yes, I had the same experience. When I first tried the downward dog pose, I thought my arms would give up. But after practicing for a while, I noticed my flexibility improving, and more importantly, my mind felt calmer.
That's why I think yoga is such a unique hobby. It benefits both body and soul.
Exactly. And hobbies like hiking, running, or martial arts fall into the same category. They keep you healthy while giving you joy.
Right, and one more thing about physical hobbies. They often connect you with communities. For example, running clubs or hiking groups. Suddenly, your hobby also becomes a social activity.
Yeah, and that's one of the best parts. You start with a personal interest and end up making friends for life.
Okay, let's move on to the next category, creative hobbies. These are my favorite because they're all about self-expression.
Oh, yes, creativity. When people think of hobbies, they often imagine things like painting, drawing, writing, music, or photography. All of these allow us to express emotions that words sometimes can't capture.
Exactly. For example, painting. I'm not a painter myself, but I once tried a painting class. It was so liberating to just splash colors on a canvas. I wasn't creating a masterpiece, but the process felt therapeutic.
That's the thing. With creative hobbies, it's not about being perfect, it's about enjoying the act. When I write in my journal, I don't care if my grammar is perfect or if my sentences are elegant. It's just about expressing myself.
Yes. Journaling is such an underrated hobby. It helps people process emotions, remember important moments, and even track personal growth.
Exactly. And journaling doesn't have to be long essays, it can be bullet points, sketches, doodles, whatever feels natural.
Speaking of doodles, that reminds me of another creative hobby, calligraphy. I've seen so many people on social media showing their beautiful handwritten quotes.
Yes, calligraphy and hand lettering are so popular now. They combine art and language, and the best part is you don't need expensive materials to start. Just a pen and paper.
True. And let's not forget photography, which you mentioned earlier. Photography is such a powerful creative outlet. You can tell stories, capture emotions, freeze time.
I agree. When I take photos, I feel like I'm noticing details I usually ignore, like the way sunlight falls on a leaf or how someone smiles naturally.
Yes, photography trains you to observe the world more closely. And it doesn't matter if you're using a smartphone or a DSLR, what matters is the perspective.
Right. And music also falls under creative hobbies. Playing an instrument, singing, even composing. For me, playing guitar is not just about chords and notes, it's about creating a mood.
That's beautifully said. And hobbies like knitting, sewing, or crafting are also creative. I have a friend who makes handmade candles as a hobby. They're so beautiful, and each one has a unique fragrance.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. And sometimes these creative hobbies can even turn into small businesses. People sell handmade crafts online and share their passion with others.
Exactly. That's the power of creativity. It connects and inspires.
So we covered physical hobbies and creative hobbies. What's next?
Let's move to intellectual hobbies, things that stimulate the brain.
Oh yes, these are the ones for curious minds. Like reading, solving puzzles, learning languages, or playing chess.
Exactly. Reading, as I mentioned earlier, is my favorite. But puzzles are another great example. Crosswords, Sudoku, jigsaw puzzles, they keep the brain sharp.
I love crosswords. Sometimes I get stuck, but when I finally figure out a tricky word, it feels so rewarding.
Yes, it's like a mini victory. And chess is another classic intellectual hobby. It teaches strategy, patience, and foresight.
Right! And learning a new language is probably one of the most rewarding intellectual hobbies. It not only exercises your brain, but also opens doors to new cultures.
Absolutely. And for our listeners, learning English can itself be a hobby. It doesn't have to feel like a school subject. You can treat it as something fun, like watching English movies, listening to podcasts, reading simple books.
Yes! That's the secret. If you enjoy the process, it never feels like a burden.
Exactly. And intellectual hobbies often combine with creative ones. For example, writing is both intellectual and creative.
True. And let's not forget hobbies like astronomy, stargazing, learning about planets, galaxies. It stimulates curiosity and imagination.
Yes, astronomy is fascinating. Just looking at the night sky with a telescope makes you realize how small we are in the universe.
That's deep, Alex. And it also reminds us how hobbies can make us more thoughtful and reflective.
So true. Now the last category we should explore is social hobbies.
Oh yes, these are the ones that bring people together. Like playing team sports, joining clubs, volunteering, or even traveling with groups.
Yes. For example, I once joined a local board game club. We used to meet every Friday night and play games like Monopoly, Catan, and Scrabble. It wasn't just about the games, it was about bonding with people.
That's wonderful. Volunteering is another beautiful social hobby, helping at shelters, teaching kids, cleaning beaches. It makes you feel connected to the community.
Absolutely, and even hobbies like singing in a choir or acting in community theater are social because they require teamwork.
Yes! And social hobbies are especially important for people who feel lonely. They provide friendship, support, and belonging.
Exactly, and that shows how hobbies are not just about passing time, they're about improving our physical, emotional, intellectual, and social well-being.
You know, Alex, while we're categorizing hobbies, I realize that my own hobbies have changed so much over the years. The things I loved as a child are quite different from what I enjoy now.
Oh, that's a great point, Mia. Childhood hobbies often evolve as we grow. What were some of your favorites when you were a kid?
Well, when I was little, I was obsessed with collecting stickers. I had this big album where I carefully arranged every sticker I got. Some were sparkly, some were scented, and some were cartoon characters.
Ah, sticker collections. I remember those. Kids used to trade them like treasures.
Yes, exactly. I would take my album to school, and during breaks, my friends and I would exchange stickers. It wasn't just about the stickers themselves. It was about the excitement of swapping, bargaining, and showing off our collections.
That's so true. Collecting is such a common childhood hobby. I collected stamps for a while. My uncle gave me his old album, and I loved looking at stamps from different countries. It felt like I was holding a piece of history in my hands.
Oh, that's wonderful. Stamps tell stories too, about cultures, leaders, and events. Did you continue that hobby as an adult?
Not really. As I grew older, I didn't have the same passion for it. But I still keep that old album. It's a memory of my childhood curiosity.
That's beautiful. I think childhood hobbies often give us clues about our personality. For example, I loved drawing when I was little. I would spend hours sketching cartoon characters. And even now, I'm still drawn to creative hobbies like music and writing.
Yes, hobbies are like threads that weave through our lives. Some fade, some stay, and some transform.
Exactly, and as adults, we sometimes rediscover our childhood hobbies. Like a friend of mine used to love Lego as a kid. Recently, he started building Lego sets again, the really advanced ones. It brings him joy and nostalgia.
That's amazing. Adults often feel shy about enjoying childlike hobbies, but honestly, there's nothing wrong with it. Play is important at every age.
I agree. Life can get too serious, so hobbies that remind us of childhood keep us young at heart.
Speaking of unusual hobbies, have you come across any that surprised you?
Oh, yes. One of my colleagues is into beekeeping. At first, I was shocked. I thought, isn't that dangerous? But she explained how fascinating it is. She learns about bee behavior, collects honey, and even helps the environment by supporting pollination.
Wow, that's incredible. Beekeeping as a hobby. That's both adventurous and eco-friendly.
Yes, and she says it gives her a deep respect for nature. Bees are so organized and hardworking. She even compared them to a perfect little society.
That's so inspiring. I've also heard of people who enjoy glass blowing as a hobby. It's so rare and requires skill, but the art they create is breathtaking.
Oh, yes, glass blowing. That must be magical. Oh, shaping molten glass into something beautiful.
Yes, and another unique one is bird watching. Some people wake up at 5 a.m. just to spot rare birds in the forest. They carry binoculars, notebooks, cameras, and they're so patient.
I've tried bird watching once. It's surprisingly calming. You sit quietly, listen to the chirping, and suddenly you notice how alive the world is.
Yes, and hobbies like that teach observation and patience, qualities that are useful everywhere.
Exactly. And then there are quirky hobbies too. I met someone who collects rubber ducks. He had more than 300 ducks in different shapes and costumes. Pirates, astronauts, superheroes.
Ha ha, that's so quirky. But see, that's the beauty of hobbies. They don't have to make sense to others. If it makes you happy, it's valid.
Yes, hobbies are deeply personal. Even if others don't understand, they give meaning to our own lives.
You know, Mia, this makes me think about how hobbies can also connect different generations, like grandparents teaching knitting or gardening to grandchildren.
Oh, yes, absolutely. My grandmother used to knit sweaters for all of us. When I was little, she tried teaching me. I wasn't very patient then, but now I wish I had learned properly. It's not just about the skill, it's about the bond we shared.
That's so true. I learned chess from my grandfather. At first, I couldn't understand why he took so long to make a move. But later, I realized he was teaching me patience and strategy. It was more than just a game.
Yes, hobbies passed down in families carry love and wisdom. They're like heirlooms, but in activity form.
Beautifully said. And sometimes hobbies even help us deal with tough times. Like during stressful periods, painting or music can be an escape.
Absolutely. For me, during exams in university, playing guitar was my stress relief. 10 minutes of music would calm my nerves more than hours of worrying.
Same here. Reading was my refuge. Whenever life felt overwhelming, I escaped into books.
That's the healing power of hobbies. They're not just pastimes, they're lifelines.
Yes, and I think our listeners can reflect on their own hobbies and ask themselves, what brings me joy? What helps me relax? What makes me feel alive? That's the starting point.
Exactly. Hobbies don't have to be expensive or impressive. Even simple things like journaling, gardening, or baking can bring deep satisfaction.
Yes, and one more thing. Hobbies also teach balance. Work and responsibilities are important, but without hobbies, life feels incomplete.
Right. Hobbies remind us that life is not just about survival, but also about joy.
Mia, one thing I've noticed is that hobbies don't just keep us entertained, they actually build real skills. Sometimes we don't even realize how much we're learning.
That's true. For example, when I play guitar, I'm not only learning music, I'm also developing discipline, hand-eye coordination, and even confidence. Performing in front of friends taught me how to handle stage fright.
Exactly. Skills from hobbies often transfer to other areas of life, like cooking teaches time management. You have to multitask, boil the pasta, chop the vegetables, stir the sauce, all while keeping an eye on the clock.
Yes, and teamwork too. When you cook with someone else, you learn how to coordinate. You chop the onions, I'll prepare the sauce. It's like a mini project.
Right, and hobbies like sports build leadership and cooperation. Being part of a football or basketball team teaches you how to trust others and work toward a common goal.
Yes! And let's not forget problem solving. For example, when I try to bake something new, sometimes it doesn't go as planned. Maybe the cake is too dry or the bread doesn't rise. Instead of giving up, I research, experiment, and try again. That's problem solving in action.
That's such a valuable point. Hobbies give us safe spaces to fail and try again. And that resilience carries into work and personal life.
Absolutely. And nowadays, in the digital age, there are so many new hobbies that also build skills.
Yes, let's talk about that. Digital age hobbies are fascinating. Take gaming, for example. Some people think it's just a waste of time, but in reality, gaming can improve reflexes, decision-making, and even teamwork if you play multiplayer games.
Exactly. I remember playing online strategy games where you had to plan, coordinate with teammates, and think ahead. It was like running a virtual project.
Yes, and some people even turn gaming into careers, like streamers or professional esports players. What used to be just a hobby is now a global industry.
That's true. And then there's content creation. Blogging, YouTube, podcasting. These started as hobbies for many people, and today some have full-time careers from them.
Yes, it's incredible. I follow a YouTuber who began by sharing simple cooking recipes from her kitchen. At first, she had just a few viewers, mostly family and friends. But now she has millions of subscribers and her own cookbook.
Wow, that's inspiring. It shows how hobbies, when shared, can grow into something much bigger.
Yes, and even if they don't become careers, digital hobbies are still valuable. For example, writing a blog helps you improve your writing skills. Editing videos teaches creativity and technical know-how.
Exactly. And photography has exploded in the digital era. With smartphones and social media, people share their photos instantly. Some even learn editing as a skill.
Yes, editing itself can be a hobby. I know someone who spends hours just editing travel videos for fun. It's like storytelling with visuals.
And speaking of travel, that's another hobby we should talk about. Traveling is both traditional and modern. With today's technology, it's easier to plan, book, and share travel experiences.
Yes, traveling is like a master hobby. It combines learning, exploration, photography, and sometimes even cooking when you try local cuisines.
Exactly. When you travel, you pick up little hobbies along the way, like sketching a landmark, collecting souvenirs, or learning a bit of the local language.
And it also makes you culturally richer. You understand traditions, festivals, and lifestyles of people from different parts of the world.
That's so true. For example, when I visited Spain, I learned flamenco dance steps just for fun. It wasn't professional, but it gave me such joy and respect for the culture.
That's beautiful. I had a similar experience in Japan. I joined a tea ceremony workshop and I realized how much art, patience, and mindfulness are involved in something as simple as making tea.
Yes, cultural hobbies are treasures. They remind us that every tradition has depth and meaning.
And global hobbies also connect people. Imagine someone in Brazil learning yoga, someone in France learning Japanese calligraphy, someone in India learning salsa dancing. The world feels smaller because of hobbies.
Exactly. And social media helps too. People share their hobbies online and inspire others across the globe.
Yes, hashtags like art, cooking, or travel bring communities together. A person in one corner of the world can encourage someone in another corner to start a new hobby.
That's the beauty of it. And during the pandemic, when people were isolated, hobbies became lifesavers. Remember how everyone suddenly started baking bread?
Oh yes, the sourdough trend. People were sharing their loaves on Instagram every day. It was like a global hobby club.
Exactly. Hobbies gave people comfort and a sense of purpose during tough times.
Yes, and even now, hobbies continue to give us balance. In a world full of stress, deadlines, and responsibilities, hobbies are our little islands of joy.
So true. And I think the most important lesson is that hobbies don't have to be perfect or professional. You don't have to be the best painter, the best singer, or the best cook. You just have to enjoy it.
Absolutely. Hobbies are not about competition, they're about connection with yourself, with others, and sometimes with the world.
Alex, one question people often ask is, how do I even find a hobby? Some people say, I don't really have hobbies.
Yes, I've heard that too. And I think the key is curiosity. You don't have to know your hobby right away. You just have to be willing to try things.
Exactly. Sometimes we overcomplicate it. People think a hobby has to be something grand, like playing the violin or climbing mountains. But it can be as simple as coloring, cooking, or walking in the park.
Yes, my advice is explore. Take small steps. If you're curious about painting, buy a few brushes and try. If you're interested in writing, start a journal. If you like plants, get one little cactus and see how it feels.
Right, it's about experimenting. Some hobbies will click, some won't. And that's okay, you don't have to stick with everything you try.
Yes, hobbies should bring joy, not pressure. If you try something and don't like it, move on. That's part of the discovery process.
Exactly. And sometimes hobbies find you. For example, during lockdown, I started baking just to pass the time. But then I realized how much I enjoyed it. Now, baking is one of my favorite hobbies.
That's a perfect example. Hobbies can grow from necessity, boredom, or even chance.
Yes! And I think people should also remember that hobbies don't need to cost a lot of money. Reading at the library, drawing with a pencil, writing poems, these are free or very cheap.
That's such an important point. Some people avoid hobbies because they think they're expensive, but there are plenty of budget-friendly hobbies.
Yes, and if you want to try something expensive, you can start small. Borrow a camera before buying one. Attend a dance workshop before signing up for a full course.
Exactly. Start with what you have.
But Alex, let's be real. Sometimes people struggle to make time for hobbies. They say, I'm too busy with work, school, or family. How do you think people can overcome that?
That's a good question. I think the trick is to see hobbies as self-care, not luxury. If you wait until you're free, you'll never be free. But if you schedule even 15 minutes a day, it becomes part of your routine.
Yes, like brushing your teeth or eating dinner. You make time because it matters. Hobbies deserve the same respect.
Exactly. And sometimes hobbies don't need long hours. Even 10 minutes of journaling, 20 minutes of guitar, or a quick walk can refresh your mind.
Yes, the goal is consistency, not perfection.
Right. And I think another challenge is motivation. At first, hobbies are exciting. But after a while, people get bored or frustrated.
Yes, that happens. My advice is set small goals. For example, when I learned guitar, I didn't say I'll be a pro in a month. I said, today I'll learn one chord. Little goals keep you motivated.
That's great advice. And also connect with communities. If you like painting, join an art group. If you like running, join a running club. Sharing progress with others keeps motivation alive.
Yes, hobbies are more fun when shared. And even online communities help. There are groups for almost every hobby where people encourage and inspire each other.
Absolutely. And one last tip, don't compare yourself to experts. Social media is full of perfect photos and performances. But remember, hobbies are about joy, not competition.
Exactly. Your sketch doesn't have to be Picasso. Your cake doesn't have to be on a magazine cover. If it makes you smile, that's enough.
Yes, hobbies are personal. They belong to you.
And honestly, Alex, I think hobbies make life richer. They give us stories to tell, memories to treasure, and skills to cherish.
Absolutely. Without hobbies, life would just be work and routine. Hobbies bring color, joy, and meaning.
Yes! And I hope our listeners feel inspired to either start a new hobby or rekindle an old one.
That's the goal. Because at the end of the day, hobbies aren't just about passing time, they're about living fully.
Beautifully said, Alex.
Well, Mia, this has been such a wonderful conversation. We've traveled through so many hobbies, From music to gardening, cooking to gaming, travel to journaling. And the common thread is joy.
Yes, joy and connection. I really enjoyed sharing stories and hearing your insights.
Same here. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey. I encourage you to take a moment today and think, what's one hobby that makes me happy? And then give yourself permission to enjoy it.
Yeah, life is busy, but don't forget to live.
On that note, it's time to wrap up today's episode. Thank you all for listening, and we hope this conversation not only improved your English, but also inspired your heart. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep enjoying your hobbies.
Goodbye, everyone, and happy hobbying!